Good morning. It's Friday. Thank goodness, except for that I have a root canal later today, so not excited about that. But anyway, here we are, a day late, but I wanted to put a little more time into this before I released it. We are at chapter 11 of the story. We're more than a third of the way through. And last week's episode was actually called The Problem. So if you haven't watched The Problem, the solution may not make that much sense to you, but I'm sure it'll make sense if you watch it. So this is chapter 11, The Solution, and it goes something like this. So really the one of the biggest differences between solutions in general is that some are long-term and some are short-term. So, and we all know the difference, right? We know the definition of each one, but we also know the difference in our own lives of like what long-term solutions have looked like for us and what short-term solutions have looked like for us. And neither is like better than the other, right? So there are occasions for a short-term solution and there are occasions for, we need to put a little more thought into this. Let's figure out a long-term solution. So I think of short-term solutions sometimes as like a Band-Aid sort of analogy. You know, we're going to put a Band-Aid on it and let it heal. That's a short-term solution. Like if you have a leaky pipe, we know that we could wrap it in duct tape and it'll probably stop the leak for a while, but that's not a long-term solution, right? So I could keep going on and on and on, but I really want to drive home this idea of long-term versus short-term solutions. Sometimes you think that you've come up with a solution and you really do think that it's long-term in nature. You know, like I've thought this out, this is gonna work, this is good, everything checks out, and this is my long-term solution. So in regard to the problem that we talked about in the last chapter, well, it turns out that the solution that I had come up for it was pretty good. It was gonna work. It was gonna work brilliantly, in fact. But before I get into really what my solution was, I wanna clarify one more thing. Sometimes, like with the duct tape example, you know that the solution that you came up with really truly is short-term, right? And there are those then when we think that we really have figured it out. Like I have figured this out. So the solution I'm about to share with you, y'all, it was a long-term solution when I figured it out, when I found it out. So let's get into it. I knew that I had this problem, and the problem was that I could not get this gay thing to go away. It's not going away at all. And I didn't know what to do about it. That was a big, big problem in my life. I was overwhelmed, trying everything. But the gay thing, it's not going away. The thoughts, the feelings, the attractions, the impulses, all the things, it's not going away. So what was I going to do about it? I knew, or at least I thought I knew, what the consequences would be if I didn't figure this out. So that was really the driving force. You know, I didn't want to go to hell. I didn't want to burn forever. So, and I was really, really scared of that. I mean, truly to my core, I used to believe that I was going to go to hell. And that's a really terrible thing to think about yourself. Whether you even believe in heaven or hell, just the idea of hell, that you're not a good person and you don't deserve happiness because you have so royally messed up that you need to go burn in eternity. Whether you believe in God or the afterlife or whatnot, that's a terrible place to be in your mind and in your heart. And I was super scared of that. So my immediate solution was, as I discussed a little bit in last week's chapter, The Problem, it was that I was going to become the best Christian that I could possibly be. Perhaps if I spent enough time in the church and studying the Bible and just being around these church leaders, godly people, then I would somehow learn something. And that would provide some sort of solution, right? Well, we all know this saying, what you focus on expands. Thank you, reticular activator, because it really is true. And sure enough, what I was expanding on, let's be the best Christian, I ended up finding a solution that I believed was really going to work. So I was still having these gay feelings. I was still attracted to boys. I wanted to hold a boy's hand. I wanted to kiss a boy. Never told anyone that, right? But like, that's what I wanted. But every time I thought of those things, of course, this tidal wave of guilt just like came over me. Like, you cannot be thinking that. You cannot want to see a guy naked. Like, you can't do that. That's the penultimate sin. That was going to send you to hell. So one of the solutions that I had come up with, that I had heard about when I was about 15 or 16 years old, it was kind of a serendipitous thing, but it ended up becoming a solution. And I got it from my youth minister. So after I had dropped out of school, after high school, and I got my GED, I started working full-time, but I always knew that college was in the cards for me. It was something I was drawn to. I wanted to go to college. I didn't have any money for college, but I knew I wanted to go. So even though I was working full-time as a teenager, I knew that I wanted to go to college, right? And at the time, my passion in life was music. I mean, it still is, but I mean, I was like music all the time. And after attending some college fairs here and there, I had decided I wanted to become a music educator. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to either be a band or choir teacher. And, you know, two of the only pocketfuls of joy, little bits of joy that I found in middle and high school at all, had been band and choir. And my music teachers were, I mean, they were like my role models. And I but I knew how much they had changed my life and impacted my life. And I thought, gosh, music is this universal language. Look at what it's done for me. I'm going to do that. So, I mean, that's what I had kind of decided I wanted to look into. So I looked at a few colleges and whatnot. And while music education is, you know, fine and dandy, it only took that one conversation with my youth minister to realize that per him, there was much more destined for my life. Like, you gotta listen to me, Darren. Like, what are you, like, band teacher? Like, yeah, but I mean, you've got a lot more going for you, okay? And I was like, okay. And I remember that we were on the bus headed back from, I'm pretty sure it was music camp, long bus ride, and we were talking about my future, right? And I was 16 at the time, and I, in his opinion, really needed to start making some decisions. You need to know what the plan is. You need to know what you're doing. And he asked me which Christian college I was planning on attending. And I didn't really know what to say because the only Christian college that I really knew of at all at that time in my life, it was this little Christian college that we'd had some affiliation with in Portland, and it's actually closed now. It didn't work out, but it was just this little school. And so I was like, I had never really been drawn to that. But he just kept saying, he was like, well, you need to go to a Christian college. Like, I can't believe we're even talking about that. Like, of course you should know that's what you're supposed to do. I was like, wow, okay. So our talk went on further because it's a very long drive again. And before you knew it, I had learned that there are multiple Church of Christ Christian colleges in the United States. I didn't even know that. I had never thought of it. And my youth minister's 3 grown children had all gone to this one specific Church of Christ college in the South. And it turns out that one of his high school daughters, high school age daughters, she was about to go to a Church of Christ university in Nebraska that upcoming fall. So I'll never forget this idea that sort of started in my head about, Christian college. Okay. And the more I thought about it, like, it just clicked. This whole idea of finding a solution, it was like, I wasn't exactly sure what the solution was yet, but oh my goodness, the pieces were coming together. So I figured out a way to make it work that I could go with his family to drop off their daughter at college in Nebraska. And this is really like my first interaction with a Christian college. So we drive all the way there from Oregon to Nebraska, his family and I. And I got to see this college and experience the campus and the people, and they're all just like so wonderful. And I in that moment knew that my youth minister was right. I did need to be at a Christian college. Like I had to. But the one in Nebraska that we had seen, it just didn't have exactly what I was looking for. And so I really decided to start weighing my options. And as I learned more and more about the offerings that all of these Church of Christ universities had, I became overwhelmed, but in the best way at the time. So going to one of these schools, I had sort of figured out, was absolutely going to be my solution. As in, like, it was going to save me. Like, no more, I don't have to worry about burning in hell. Like, this was big stuff. This wasn't just like choosing the school that I want to go to. So in addition to whatever it was that I would end up studying academically at this university, it occurred to me, and part of the reason that I found this solution like so big and bright and amazing, it occurred to me that not only do they study, like academically, oh my gosh, they have Bible studies all the time. You can always go to Bible study. There's always a Bible study going on or a devotional. And all these people that are at this Christian college, they want to be as great Christians just like me. Like, that's why they're going there. And when this clicked to me, I was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, really, just all started just coming together in my mind. Most important is I was sure to find the woman that God had prepared for me. I'd always been told this, and by, just hearing it in church, like, God has prepared a woman for you, Darren. Like, he's got a wife ready for you. You just got to go meet her. And I was like, that's going to happen at Christian college. Oh my gosh. We're going to meet each other. We're going to fall in love. We're going to get married. We're going to have babies. And boom, like, it's fixed. Like, how could the gay thing not be fixed by all this stuff? Good people, Bible studies all the time, and I'm going to meet the woman that God has prepared for me. So, like, that was it. In the meantime, in discussions about college, several folks that I admired, including my grandma and, my dad, they were like, yeah, let's forget this music education thing. Like, that's not going to work out. So, okay, whatever. And I thought, well, what do I want to do? Well, Grandma B was a nurse, and my Nana had been a nurse. And I thought, well, gosh, I kind of like science, and I like medicine, and I'm not really very squeamish about blood and things, and I'm compassionate, right? That's it. I'm going to be a nurse. So, deciding on wanting to be a nurse, well, that just completely paved the way. I knew exactly which school I was going to go to. So early in 2009, when I was about 18, I had saved enough money to buy a plane ticket to Little Rock, Arkansas. And I was going to go tour this magical college. And I remember that during the hour-long drive north from Little Rock to get to the school, to get to campus, the sweet girl that had picked me up, actually a few of us had flown in. I didn't know these kids, but we're all going to go together. When she picked us up at the airport, we just talked the whole entire time about how much this school had changed her life and how amazing it is. And I was getting so excited. And sure enough, I mean, I'll remember this moment forever. Not necessarily in a great way now, but it's one of those moments that it's on the timeline of your life. The moment I stepped on that campus, I was so hooked, y'all, and in love, in awe with what I saw. Like, I may as well have just not toured, met anyone or anything. Like, I knew right then and there, this is gonna happen. This school, the campus it's old and gorgeous. There are historic buildings, and but it's kind of coupled with just incredible updates and leading technology in every department, and the landscaping. Oh my gosh, it was just immaculate. Like this pristine, magical place. And the people that I was meeting, just like everywhere, the first person that walked by me, the professors, the student, like every single person, oh, they were so full of Christian love. It just like oozed everywhere. I mean, it was rainbows are emitting everywhere. It's just this magical place. And I just can't even believe I have found this. The professors were amazing. The nursing program at the time was rated like in the top 10 in the country. The cafeteria served amazing food. I'm like a small boy from Oregon. I don't know any better. They had a Taco Bell on campus. I mean, it just like it didn't get any better. And there were 10,000 students on this campus, right? And every one of them loved being there. And I can't explain that feeling. It's like they were all wanted to be there. So, like I had my extended tour, and they actually even housed me with some guys that were also studying nursing, got to stay with them. And they were just like, they were the epitome of the Christian man that I wanted to become. I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is completely it. And I wanted to do absolutely nothing but stay. Just right, like, let's start college right now. Like right now, I did not want to leave. So I remember that on the plane ride back to Oregon, I just journaled and bawled. I just cried so hard for like 3 hours because I was so overjoyed that I had come up with a game plan and a solution for this problem. Like, it just made perfect sense. No more going to hell for me. Weight off the shoulders, right? So over the next several months, I did everything it took, whatever was necessary to wrap up my young life in Central Oregon and get to my dream school in the South. And whenever any of my gay feelings came about, it like from that time until I actually went to college, it's like I felt like I had control over them now because I had a game plan. Like, I knew what I was going to do. It's going to work completely. The financial aid came together. I picked out a dorm room, got to know my roommate over the summer, and all these details just kept falling into place. I saved as much money as I could. I got rid of all my stuff. I mean, like, threw it away. I put in my notice at work, and by August 2009, I was ready to go. So I remember I loaded the car up like as full as it could be, and I stood in the driveway, and I said goodbye to my Nana and Papa, and my dad and my sister were there. And I was not even that, I was sad to leave. I was sad to say goodbye, but I was just so excited. Like, so excited that I found the solution. This is it. I'm going. Don't know all the details yet, but this is it. So my cousin and actually a girl from our youth group, they went with me, and we drove 44 hours with many, many stops down to Arkansas. And we finally got there. It took me no time at all to get my room set up. I met my roommate, loved him. He was really handsome. I was like, wow. And it just all kind of came together. And that first day of moving in, went to Walmart and bought all the stuff. If any of you have moved into college, you know what I'm talking about. And that night, I'll never forget that I was so tired, like just exhausted, but in a great way. And I climbed into bed, and I just silently cried, a happy, happy cry, because I couldn't believe how much peace I felt. I felt happy. I felt joyful. I felt loved. But mostly, I still could not believe that I had finally found a solution. And there it was, this school in the South, and I was finally here. And I determined, right? Like, I was so determined that it was gonna work because it had to. So that's the solution. Thank y'all so much for watching. We're just chugging along. So next week, I'm going to release an episode called The School, and we're going to learn more about this little solution I had come up with. And until then, I hope that you are experiencing as delightful weather as I am. I don't know how to word that. It's gorgeous here, so I hope it's gorgeous wherever y'all are. Have a beautiful weekend, and again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.